There you go. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I'm going to be putting a sign-in sheet in the chat. This way you can add in your information if you'd like to receive any more emails or any more notices as to what happened during the meeting today. So welcome. I'd like to welcome our faculty member, Dr. Amy Sadek. She's the assistant professor in lifestyle medicine, occupational therapy, and she'll be recording a webinar for us today. Thank you so much. And I will also have a Q&A session at the end as well. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Sadek.
Awesome. Thank you, Janet. Okay, I will go ahead and share my screen and we can get started. Okay, let's get this. Okay, can you all see the screen? Awesome.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I am so glad to be joining all of you this evening for an overview of occupational therapy and lifestyle medicine perspectives and sort of strategies you can use for your own well-being as a college student. But maybe in the chat, we could just do some brief introductions, or if you want to turn your mic on and just share where you all are from, what you're studying, what institution you're at. I'd love to get to know you a little bit more.
We can start off with Frida. Frida, if you'd like to introduce yourself, you can do so in the chat or unmute yourself as well. Oh, good. We'll just move to Joanne. Joanne, would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Joanne. It's great to see you again.
Awesome. Thank you both for being here. Okay, so a little bit of background on myself. So as Jenna introduced me, my name is Amy Sadek. I have been an occupational therapist for almost 10 years now. I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition and food science, a master's degree in occupational therapy from Loma Linda University, and then also completed my PhD in rehabilitation science from Loma Linda University. My clinical background has primarily been in pediatrics, working with children in school-based settings from preschool to high school age students, did some outpatient pediatrics as well, and worked with some older adults in skilled nursing facilities. I wanted to sort of find a way to combine my love of nutrition with my love of OT, so I actually ended up doing my dissertation on the effects of antioxidants from cacao or dark chocolate on children with autism, and it turns out it's actually pretty good for them. So my doctoral training focused a lot on lifestyle-oriented approaches such as nutrition and stress management to improve quality of life. And more recently, I became board certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So everything kind of clicked in a way where it just became more feasible to apply these strategies as an OT, since we were kind of already doing them before, but just hadn't kind of fully made that professional connection yet. So we've learned that how you occupy your time influences your health, either towards health or towards disease. So we'll talk about some of these pillars of lifestyle medicine and kind of focus on how you can implement them in your personal life, especially in as a college student. Some of my personal hobbies, baking, I love organizing, I'm a vegan foodie. I love hiking, yoga, traveling, of course, spending time with friends and family, listening to podcasts, especially on that long commute, and just anything by the beach. So that's just a little bit about me. But these are just kind of the workshop objectives that I kind of planned out for us today that will sort of guide our conversation for the remainder of the hour. So we will kind of go through defining lifestyle medicine, defining occupational therapy, identify common stressors in college students' experiences, discuss what the implications of stress are, and then explore and hopefully apply some of these lifestyle and occupational strategies to incorporate for your overall mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. So first, let's get into, I'm going to share the whiteboard actually, because I want to hear from you all. How has being a college student changed your lifestyle, and what are your biggest stressors as a college student? So I'm going to share our whiteboard here. And then you can just, you can draw, or you can put a text box in and type your response, either way. Can you all see the whiteboard? Yeah, okay. So how has your lifestyle changed, and what are kind of your biggest stressors being a college student? Lack of balance with life, yeah. Any other experiences or stressors that you guys have? Give it another minute in case anybody wants to share additional thoughts. Constantly trying to get good grades. Yes, that's definitely a stressor.
Joanne noted returning after being away for so long.
Oh yeah, definitely. After COVID and that extension kept going and going, and we went from Zoom to in person, and yeah, big transitions there. That's a really good one. Thanks, Joanne. Okay, I think I just stopped sharing the whiteboard, and then I will reshare my screen. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. So let's get into defining what lifestyle medicine is. So lifestyle medicine, the term was first used actually at a symposium in 1989, but the American College of Lifestyle Medicine was actually founded in 2004. And it's sort of this movement that was started by physicians and other health professionals, including occupational therapists, physical therapists, health coaches. And really it's defined as the use of evidence-based lifestyle therapeutic approaches that include these 6 pillars. So a predominantly whole food, plant-based diet, regular physical activity, adequate sleep, stress management, the avoidance of risky substances, and other non-drug modalities to treat and oftentimes reverse and prevent the lifestyle-related chronic diseases that are all too prevalent. So looking specifically at the 6 pillars, just to reiterate again, so nutrition, so healthy nutrition, so they really promote incorporating more whole foods in your diet, plant-based options, physical activity, which is different than exercise. So exercise is more purposeful movement and kind of structured, whereas physical activity is basically just any bodily movement or muscle contraction that's a result of kind of expending energy beyond your resting rate. So that could be just taking a walk or gardening or doing house chores. So it's really just kind of other forms of movement. And then of course, stress management, but we like to talk about stress resilience and how you can build your capacity for some of those expected and unexpected demands in life, especially as a student. Of course, sleep, and then again, the avoidance of risky substances. So those are kind of the 6 key pillars of lifestyle medicine. So what about occupational therapy? So when we think about OT, we really believe that what people do every day matters, and occupational therapy from our national association is defined as the therapeutic use of everyday life occupations with persons, groups, or populations, also known as the client, for the purpose of enhancing or enabling participation. So these are really just the everyday activities that people do to occupy their time. So we'll look at those 9 areas here. So activities of daily living is one area of occupation. That includes things simple as bathing, dressing, eating, your functional mobility skills. There's also instrumental activities of daily living. That includes meal preparation, money management, child rearing, community mobility. And then we also have rest and sleep. Yes, sleep is an occupation. Education, being a student, is also considered an occupation. And then of course, work. So that's traditionally when people hear OT, they're like, oh, you help people find jobs. And it's like, well, yes and no, like we can, but there's so much more to OT than just that. And then the newest area that was added a couple of years ago is health management. And that's where we really see the lifestyle medicine connection come into play, because under health management, we include social and emotional health promotion, symptom management, physical activity, and nutrition management. So you can see how it kind of connects to those 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. And then also play. When we work with children, their primary occupation is play. Leisure, kind of where we seek out our hobbies and personal interests and where we kind of have our creative exploration in life. And then, of course, social participation is another area of occupation, which also happens to be a pillar of lifestyle medicine. So you can see there's a lot of connection there. But looking more specifically at kind of the college student experience, what are some of the common stressors? So enhances here. So according to one study in 2012, these were some of the most common stressors for college students. Academics, which some of you touched on, included grades, finances, anxiety and depression, so mental health features, having a poor work-school life balance, which again was talked about on our whiteboard, family or relationships, so that social connection piece, and just burnout, which I think a lot of us have experienced, especially with this pandemic being in the virtual world and then back in person, and just navigating all of that again. Feeling isolated or not having enough support. Of course, your physical health, because some of those health habits take a back seat to being a student. Discrimination is another one, thinking about our social justice issues, and then experiencing loss and grief. So life often happens even when we're pursuing higher education or goals or other personal and professional pursuits. So sounds like we touched on a lot of these. Is there anything else that anybody thinks they'd want to add to this list? No? Okay. All right, so some of the implications of stress. So those are some of the common stressors for college students. And these are just some examples of what chronic stress can do for our health. So it can cause insomnia, sexual dysfunction, hyperactivity, ulcers, chronic headaches, back pain, backaches, high blood pressure, anxiety, just kind of emotional self-regulation with anger and irritability, decreased concentration, and decreased memory. So a lot can happen when, you know, our the demand of the stressors and our ability to kind of cope with them when there's a gap in that. So with the demand of the stressor and our capacity to cope with it, and when it happens chronically over time, these are some of the things that we can face health-wise. So these are some of the things that our brains do not like. Multitasking is not a good thing. Just try to focus on one thing at a time. Actually, recent research came out that said it takes an average of, I believe, 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back into a state of flow, as we call it, once you've been interrupted. And that interruption can be anything from a text, an email, a person coming in interrupting you. Let's say you're studying or working on a paper. So yeah, about 23 minutes to get back into that kind of work flow that you were in. So multitasking can be really hard for our brains to kind of know where to focus. Techno stress, that is a real thing. I think a lot of us feel it. So sort of this addiction to distractions like media, phones, watches, social media, and all these outlets that we're all connected to. Yeah, and our brains don't like having an overdose of stress. So that we call it this allostatic load. So when there's chronic stress repeated, ongoing, lack of sleep is hard on our brain, limited physical activity, kind of end up feeling groggy. And then when you don't have enough time for that leisure and recreation for your own exploration of meaning in life, when you don't have any downtime, and then when there's frequent interruptions or distractions. So those are things that are really hard for our brains. So hopefully today's talk, you'll get some strategies on how to kind of give your brain a lift through some of these pillars of lifestyle. So looking at one of the pillars of physical activity and movement, physical activity, as we talked about, is defined as any bodily movement that's produced by skeletal muscles that requires energy expenditure sort of beyond rest. And the recommendation is actually 150 minutes a week of moderate physical activity. So moderate is where you can sort of be doing your physical activity and still hold a conversation. Light activity would be you can sing while you're doing it, and then rigorous is you can't sing or talk while you're doing it. So you're pretty out of breath there. So some of the ways that you can incorporate movement, especially as a college student, taking a walk around campus. It can be just a 5-10 minute walk. maybe taking study breaks with classmates, quizzing each other, like going up and down the stairs or around your campus if there's space to do so, taking the stairs over the escalator or elevators. Any movement is better than no movement. And the American College of Lifestyle Medicine really says like, it doesn't matter what type of movement either. So just get moving is really the bottom line. But that is just the general recommended dosage is the 150 minutes a week. So about 30 minutes a day. And that doesn't necessarily have to be consecutive. It can be, 10 minutes, 3 10-minute increments, or however you want to break it up that works for your schedule. And then nutrition. So try to aim for 5 to 7 fruits and vegetables per day. Stay hydrated with water. So 6 to 8 cups of water a day. And then make sure you're eating a diet rich in fiber. It keeps you fuller longer. Hopefully it limits the sort of processed snacking that a lot of us can tend to do when we're in a rush. So foods that are rich in fiber include beans, oatmeal, quinoa, a variety of potatoes, brown rice, and whole grain sources of carbs. So whole grain pastas, whole grain breads, whole grain tortillas, those are all really rich in fiber. And I know when you're studying late or you're in the library or you're having a study session with friends or even alone, it can be tempting to snack at night, but that also impacts our sleep. So trying to limit late night snacking can be helpful. And then also creating systems, like having systems in place, for example, meal prepping when possible. This kind of helps so when your schedule does get stressful or there's a random change that you sort of have something in place to accommodate those busier days and unexpected demands. And a lot of the doctors and physicians from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine always say that bananas are the best fast food and they're cheaper than a bag of Doritos. So that's always a good go-to. They're high in fiber, they keep you a little bit fuller longer, and rich in a lot of other phytonutrients, as we call them. And then the avoidance of risky substances. So substance use related to alcohol, especially heavy drinking in particular, is associated actually with a lower GPA. Students miss class more often and they often fall behind in their coursework. So a study in 2017 tells us that academic involvement that consists of behaviors and activities like participating in class discussions or engaging in study groups or interacting with faculty, maybe through office hours, and time spent studying, all of these academic activities are actually positively correlated with GPA. So definitely a difference between kind of heavy drinking practices and then doing more academic involved activities. So yeah, falling behind, missing class, and some of the physical implications of substance use, it impacts the cardiovascular system, our liver, our pancreas, and even our immune system. But when we talk about risky substances, we also have to think about some of the non-traditional ones. It's not just, drugs and alcohol, it's also caffeine and sugar. So caffeine is also, there's been studies on this. Students who had reported poorer health ended up consuming significantly more caffeine than their peers, especially soda consumption. So caffeine in the form of soda. And then also thinking about sugar. So how often do you all, you can put your thumbs up or thumbs down, how often do you all read the sugar content on nutrition labels? Anybody want to share? Not too many of us, right? So excessive sugar intake is actually associated with more inflammation, insulin resistance, which contributes, of course, to type 2 diabetes, lipid or fat accumulation, and increased oxidation, which is really toxic to a lot of our cellular functions. And it's also associated with dental disease as well. So high sugary foods, we think of them as a risky substance because they actually mimic substance use addiction. So that reward circuitry in the brain lights up and makes us seek out these sort of flavor profiles in excess. And then does anybody know the recommended amount of sugar that we're, recommended to consume?
I think about 6 grams a day.
Yeah, so actually that would be good. They give us a little bit more than that, but thank you, Frida. So the American Heart Association suggests, in terms of an added sugar limit, no more than 100 calories per day of added sugar, which is about 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar. But I agree with you, Frida. I think it should be closer to 6 because there's so much added sugar and everything. And there's not really, same thing from the American Heart Association, there's not really a nutritional need or a nutritional benefit that comes from eating particularly added sugar. Now, if sugar exists in its raw form in, fruits or other natural foods, that's one thing because we're also getting phytonutrients from it. But to have added sugar in these drinks and snacks, like that's where it can become really unhealthy for us. So moving on to the next pillar around sleep. So for adults ages 18 to 64, what do you guys think the recommended hours of sleep per night that you should be getting?
Around 6 to 8. 6 to 8 hours of sleep, or 7 to 8.
Yeah, very good. So it's 7 to 9, you're right in that range. And when we think about sleep, and it's also an area of occupation, we also need to think about the sleep environment. So these kind of hexagons we have here around our environment all influence our sleep quality. So when we think about actions in sleep environments, so the American College of Lifestyle Medicine says that the bed should only be used for sleep and sex and nothing else. You shouldn't be eating in bed. You shouldn't be watching TV in bed. Things like that. So trying to establish that regular sleep cycle for a regular bedtime and a regular wake time is really important. And on the weekend, they say not to sleep in more than an hour than you usually wake up. So let's say you wake up at 6 during your, the regular work or school week, then on the weekends, you shouldn't sleep in really past 7. So that's one recommendation. And then also just minimizing like bedroom noise, light noise when you're sleeping. And light exposure also plays a role with sleep. So when we think about this, increasing your daytime exposure to sunlight, get outside, take that walk, move, exercise, whatever it is that's meaningful to you. That helps us sleep better at night when we get sunlight during the day. So increasing that daytime physical activity, and then decreasing your light at night. So lights should be out about an hour before bed, especially blue light from technology. And then looking at diet. So how does diet influence sleep? So eliminating nighttime caffeine, even limiting daytime caffeine. So they say try not to drink too much caffeine after noon, avoiding alcohol within 3 hours of your bedtime, eliminating after dinner and late night snacking can also influence your sleep, avoiding high salt, high sodium foods, making sure you're staying hydrated throughout the day. So we talked about drinking water, and then weight management also helps with that. And exercise. So we've touched on this a little bit, but increasing your daily physical activity, especially during those sunlight hours, can help your sleep rhythm as well. And then minimizing stress. So we talked about stressors earlier in our discussion here. So how do we do that around sleep? So try to start settling down about 1 hour before bed. Include some sort of active relaxation. Maybe it's a bath, a shower, meditation, guided imagery, even soothing music. That can all help sort of just decompress and activate your relaxation response. So developing that wind down routine. And I know it can be easier said than done, but just kind of moderating your nighttime worrying or planning or ruminating, especially around what you have to do the next day or studying, that can all really help to create a better sleep environment that gives us more of that restorative sleep. And the next pillar, social connection. So when we think about social connection, this really promotes the love hormone or oxytocin. So positive social relationships, and it's not just romantic partnerships, it's good friendships, family relationships, actually can increase life expectancy by up to 7 years. Positive social ties also nudge us towards more healthy behaviors. It gives us a sense of belonging, especially in this pandemic. I know a lot of us were isolated and couldn't really connect with people in the ways we traditionally did. It helps us feel cared for and seen. It's a way to offer and receive emotional support. And social connection really gives life meaning. But from a study in 2018, Clark and colleagues suggested that supportive interactions with others actually benefits our immune system, our endocrine system, and cardiovascular functions that reduces that allostatic load we talked about, so that chronic ongoing stress. So I wanted to share a Jamboard with you all. I'll throw it in the chat and we can just kind of come up with some ways how we can creatively build these social connections, even in the midst of kind of having that busier schedule. So let me stop sharing this screen and I will throw it in the chat for everybody. Hopefully it works. And then I will reshare my screen to okay. So you can use one of the sticky notes and just type on it. You want to add a sticky note, what are ways that we can sort of build these social connections that are so valuable for our health, our longevity, and just kind of meaning in life? What are other ways you can think of? Can you all access the Jamboard?
It's not letting me add a sticky note.
Oh.
Looks like I was only given view controls.
Let's see.
But we can also
we can go ahead.
We can also type things in the chat too.
Yeah.
Let's it's easier for everyone.
Chat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I love that, having a phone call with friends and family. So let me stop sharing this. I like to try Groupon. That's one way to kind of get going on things with an inexpensive way to kind of get people to try something adventurous and new. Any other suggestions, Frida or Joanne? Trying new foods with loved ones, writing and being creative, helping others. I love it. Those are so great. Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Okay, let me go back to our talk here. Going to church and meeting up with new friends. Yes, thank you, Joanne. And walking, I know you guys touched on that. Okay, thank you all so much for sharing. So now another really important pillar is thinking about stress resilience. So stress happens when there's expected or unexpected demands in life, or when there are real or perceived threats to our well-being. And there becomes a gap between what we talked about earlier, our capacity to cope and the demand of the stressor. And the key and one of the best ways to complete the stress cycle is to activate the relaxation response. And a lot of that is done through movement. So one of these books, it's called Unlocking the Stress Cycle. It's this book on burnout. It's really, really great. And one of the best and evidence-based ways to complete the stress cycle. And that's not to say that the stressor necessarily goes away. You may still have to write that paper or take that exam, but moving through that, really, it can be as simple as a walk around campus, in your neighborhood, going up a flight of stairs, you name it. And that can really help complete the stress cycle so that you're not in that chronic state of stress. Other ways to do that might be through deep diaphragmatic breathing, getting outdoors. Dr. Darren Morton from the Lifestyle Medicine LIFT program talks about how blue and green need to be seen, and they're good for our mental health. So the blue sky and the greenery outside are really great ways to decompress, and having fun. So this doesn't have to be amusement park fun. It can be anything that really brings you joy. And that could be getting your favorite drink at a coffee shop, or watching a funny show, trying a new restaurant, going out with a friend. All of these things build our capacity for those expected and unexpected demands in life. So closing the loop on what our brains actually do like is mindfulness. So mindfulness is a little bit different than meditation because it's not necessarily a concentrative practice. It's kind of about viewing the broad picture and maintaining this like open field of awareness and really being in the present moment. So mindfulness is an awareness that is kind, it's accepting, It's self-compassionate, and again, being in that present moment, being fully present where you are. And it can be done in every moment and every place. So I like to call them these micro moments or micro mindfulness moments that we can have throughout the day. Maybe it's just appreciating, a pretty flower, or the, nice weather, or the cool breeze. It can really be anything. It's just kind of our way of being in the world, and really a way of life. Other things our brain likes is gratitude practices. So writing 3 things you're thankful for a day, maybe saying them out loud, writing a thank you letter to somebody that's important to you. Movement is really good for our brain. So again, any of that physical activity. Social connection, we are hardwired for social connection. Getting into flow, so that creative space where we're just, our capacity for the task matches our talents and our skill set. Our brains also like routine and structure and some predictability. So like we said, with the nutrition and meal planning, however you can make your life easier and create systems for things so that when these unexpected things pop up, the routine things you do every day kind of already have a rhythm in your life. Creativity is also really great. I know, Frida, you talked about writing and journaling. That's a wonderful example of that. And then, of course, the great outdoors. So remember, green and blue need to be seen. So those are just some positive connections for uplifting your brain. So looking at some of these key takeaways and how you can incorporate some of these lifestyle, occupational principles in your own life is just to get moving, right? So 150 minutes a week in any way that's really enjoyable to you. Increase your fruits, your veggies, your water, and your fiber. So meal prepping as often as possible. Limiting your intake of alcohol and other risky substances like that caffeine and sugar we talked about. Getting adequate sleep, and remember, thinking about your environment, the lights, the noise, pets and partners that could be interruptive. Staying connected with friends, family, classmates, or even making new connections. And then building your capacity for stress with movement, with gratitude, and even with fun. And again, all of this has to be meaningful and personal to your specific life, but these are just some simple ways that you can start to incorporate these pillars of lifestyle medicine into kind of your own life. So I really enjoyed my time with you all today. And if you have any questions, there's my email. I can also throw it in the chat. But I'm also happy to stop sharing and chat with you all a little bit now as well, if we have time.
Yeah, we have time for any questions anybody might have, or any comments, or anything, any advice that you might need. Feel free to type it in the chat or unmute yourself as well.
Oh, I saw Frida added traveling. That's another great way to build stress resilience and build social connections.
Dr. Sadek, you might have done such a wonderful job that nobody has any questions.
Thank you. Doctor, thank you for the presentation. That was wonderful and resourceful to me.
Oh, good. I'm so glad, Frida.
I got a lot of information. I actually screenshot it so that I can read it in my own private time and share it with friends. Yeah, because that was really a good research. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad. And I hope some of the principles are easy enough to apply in your personal life.
Yeah, I've been applying them because I'm a public health graduate student. So.
Oh, good, good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap with lifestyle and public health too. So this is right up your alley.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
So I will have some stuff about the OTD program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, okay.
Did you have, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your question.
Are we going to discuss about the Doctor of Occupational Therapy program?
Oh yeah, did you have any questions about the program? I'm happy to answer.
Oh, I thought the seminar today was about it.
Yeah, so today we kind of touched on like student well-being from a lifestyle medicine and occupational therapy perspective, but yes, we are launching our entry-level occupational therapy doctoral program at Keck Graduate Institute. Our first inaugural cohort starts in August of this year, so we're really excited for that. It's a 8-trimester, almost 3-year program. Did you have any questions about it? I'm happy to share more.
It's about the prereqs because I already took them, but they kind of not meet the recency requirement that the school wants. So the other thing that will kind of delay me is because I have to retake some of the prereqs.
Okay. Yeah, I think they, as long as they're within the last 7 years, if I'm remembering right.
They're not within, that's what.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Where are you at with that process? Are you finishing them up this year, or?
I don't think I can finish them this year because I have like 4 to take.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I'll finish them by summer. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my anatomy and physiology is okay. It's only the social sciences.
Oh, okay. Social sciences. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you would like to learn more about our summer program too, I put the link in the chat. It's a good opportunity for you to just get a better idea of what our occupational therapy program would look like, or if you would like to seek a career in occupational therapy, it shows you, you know, what different careers are available and just hands-on learning experiences as well.
Yeah, our pre-OT program in the summer is really a good introduction to the field, and it talks about, it's sort of like we have a speaker series and people from all different practice areas come and kind of give like a day in the life of, so you really get to hear what practitioners in all the different practice areas do and what type of client population they work with, and you really kind of get the nuts and bolts of each practice area, which is nice. And we have a session in June as well as in July.
And Joanne, sorry, I put your name as Joanna, I'm so sorry, but the pre-OT program does not include prerequisites, so it will not take place of the prerequisites that you would need. We do offer opportunities to take prerequisites and undergraduate summer science courses at KGI. I'll also put the link in the chat.
And then in terms of OT CAS, so we have kind of like a rolling admissions process. So you should be able to apply kind of ongoing, right, Janet, throughout the year, yeah, for OT CAS. So yeah.
And if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. I can also connect you to the OTD admissions counselor as well. But are there any more questions for Dr. Sadek? Well, thank you both.
Okay, is Dr. Sadek one of the OT teachers?
Yeah, I'm one of the, oh, go ahead.
Are you one of the OT instructors?
Yeah, I'm one of the assistant professors helping with our lifestyle medicine curriculum and our research course series.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here and for sharing such great ideas.
You're welcome, and you too, Doctor.
As for our 2022 to 2023 cycle, I would have to look up when that is open, but I'm pretty sure it's open now and still rolling. You can see some of the admissions procedures and requirements in the link I have added in the chat. Let me open it up and double check.
And I know that some students have like applied now, but then deferred till next year. So that's always an option as well.
Yeah, and if you would like help with your application or just ensuring that you've made all of your prereqs, again, we can connect you with an admissions counselor and they can work individually with you as well.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, of course.
What about the timetable? Is it like hybrid or in person?
So
Oh.
it's a predominantly in-person program, but lots of hands-on and active learning and labs and stuff. There might be a course or two where there is, you know, some synchronous portions of it, but it is definitely more of an in-person program. And OT is just such a hands-on profession that we really create a lot of opportunity in our labs and curriculum for all of that active learning. So you can gain those skills by doing them.
So everything like 90% is gonna be in person.
Probably even more than 90%. Yeah. Yeah,
Like every day in a week or like some days.
it's mostly like a Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, 9 to 4 type of curriculum schedule. There might be some Fridays where you are doing field work, where you go and do that experiential learning across kind of the lifespan and across different practice settings. So you'll have field work pretty much at every trimester, which is nice because you'll learn, let's say, about pediatrics, and then right after at the end of that trimester, you'll go out and do a pediatric field work. So you'll kind of get to apply those skills like right fresh out of the classroom, which is nice.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm adding the FAQ link. So it's just frequently asked questions about the OTD fieldwork. So if you see any questions on here that maybe you haven't thought of, like how long are the rotations, when does it occur, you'll be able to see step-by-step and more detailed instruction on there too.
Awesome. Thanks, Janet.
Yeah, of course. Frida, well, if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me or email admissions@kgi.edu, and we're more than happy to help you work your way to getting into the OTD program or any OT program that you're interested in. Dr. Sadek has also put her email in the chat. Thank you so much.
Do I have your email?
My email?
The email, so I can email.
Oh, my apologies.
I pretty much understand what is required. I just need to get my prereqs.
Yes, yeah, it's always the prerequisites that's difficult to get, but I wish you the best of luck in getting them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and we really appreciate you, Frida. If there's anything else, please feel free to reach out to us.
I will. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Frida. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.